Welcome back to this module of seeing grand challenges as business opportunities. So let's take a recap of what we've done so far. So by now you have surveyed your market and decided on your grand challenge that you are going to solve. And also you have figured out how to CDIO your solution. So in this lecture we will be talking about how to determine the desirability and the feasibility of your solution. So before you go about implementing your idea, it's important for you to determine if your idea is desirable by the market and if it's feasible to carry out, and also how would it address the grand challenge. So how would you determine that your solution is desirable? So there are two things you can do. You could run a customer survey where you go out and just survey customers or getting information from various sources, or you could do a lean startup model. So this would be elaborated in the next section of the module, so I highly encourage that you watch it even though it's not a requirement. So how will you determine the feasibility of your solution? In project management, we have this tool we call complexity analysis. So there are two parts in complexity analysis. One is the technical complexity and the business complexity. These complexities ranges from a scale of 0 to 4, with the low complexity being 0 and the high complexity being a 4. For technical complexity, we judge on 5 aspects: availability of resources, knowledge, skills, new technology, as well as the scope. So for availability of resources, do you have the resources necessary to carry out your solution? For knowledge, do you have the knowledge? Do you have the know-how that the solution is requiring? So if your solution requires coding, do you have the knowledge in coding? If you do not have the knowledge in coding, it will be a high complexity. For skills, let's say you require to manufacture a part, do you have the skills or resources necessary to manufacture? So if your solution requires new technology, the new technology will make the technical complexity higher. For the last one is scope. So how wide is your scope and how much does it cover? So a larger scope would involve a higher complexity. So for business complexity, there are also 5 sections. So the first is budget. So do you have enough budget to carry out your solution? If not, where will you get your budget? If it's difficult, then it will be a high complexity. It's also important for you to see where is your market and the condition of the market. If the economy is favorable, then it would be a low complexity. Another one is the time scale. So how long do you have to manufacture your solution? So if it's a shorter time, it will have a higher complexity. If it's a longer time, it would be a lower complexity. So the next aspect is geography. Where is your intended region and what are the legislations and policies that are in place that are favorable to address that grand challenge? And also for the policies and procedures. So are the policies and procedures favorable or against it? Currently in Europe, there are a lot of policies that encourage the use of renewable energy, so that would help make your solution easier to attain. How do you carry out this complexity analysis? So basically you take your business and technical complexity, so you add up the different components, you take the average and you plot it on a axis which is technical versus business complexity. And so your complexity of the solution might fall in one of the 4 quadrants. It could be either routine or low complexity, high technical complexity, high business complexity, or a high overall complexity. So how does your solution address the grand challenges? So we can use the SMART goals to see if your solution addresses the grand challenge of your choice. Specific. It's important to make your goal specific. So what exactly do you want to achieve? Where do you want to achieve it? How you want to achieve it? And who are the people that are going to play a part in achieving it? So the second one is measurable. So write down exactly how much you want to achieve in your solution. So if you want to increase the efficiency of solar panels, tell us how much efficiency would you want to increase it by. Would it be 10%, 20%, or 30%, and so on and so forth. A in the SMART goal stands for attainable. So in attainable, you acknowledge the environmental and physical limitations you have in order to carry out your solution. So take into account the capabilities of your team and make sure there are no ethical or legal barriers for you to carry out your solution. And the R in the SMART goal stands for relevant. The goal you set should be relevant to your overall mission of the team in solving that grand challenge. And finally, T stands for timely. So the timeline of your project is very important. So your timeline has to be reasonable, make it realistic. You don't want to try to build a rocket in 2 days. So the SMART goals are important for successful planning of your project. However, it's important to keep in mind to adjust your SMART goals as you go along, so to be able to achieve your grand challenge. So what do you have to do after this lecture? You've already seen which grand challenge you're going to solve. You've CDI'd your solution. So next you have to carry out a customer survey. So I highly recommend that you use the Lean Startup model, and also determine the feasibility of your solution. So run a complexity analysis and have a SMART goal of how will your solution address the grand challenges for engineering. Thank you, and that's a wrap.